Well, let's have the latest on coronavirus now. And new laws banning people from meeting in groups of more than 6 have come into force in England, Scotland and Wales. In England, the Home Office Minister, Kit Malthouse, urged people to report their neighbours to police if they're seen to be breaking the new laws. But guidance has yet to be issued to police forces on how to enforce the rules, which differ across the UK in some aspects. In England, it applies to any 6 people, including family, indoors or outdoors. In Scotland, the rule of 6 also applies indoors and outdoors, but only 2 households can meet, and children under the age of 12 are not included in the tally. It's different in Northern Ireland and Wales, where the rule of 6 only applies if people are meeting indoors, and in Wales it doesn't include children under the age of 11. If people break the rules in England, they could face fines of up to £3,200. Our correspondent John Kay has spent the day with police officers in Bristol as the new rules came into force.
Because the rules have changed, I think it includes children as well.
OK.
So you're over the number that we're supposed to be.
Confusion in the park this afternoon. Police officers explained to this mum that her toddler's picnic is in breach of the law because they're a group of 7.
It's very difficult to understand, though, because if I'm allowed to go into a pub with loads of people and I'm a metre apart from that person and I can't be with my kids' friends.
If I count up us with our kids, we are more than 6. Does that mean we are breaking the law?
Nikki and her friends are also a group of 7. They thought they'd be OK because the children are at school together. In Scotland or Wales, they'd be fine because younger children aren't included.
Wales isn't far away from here, so we could just go over the bridge and be with a much larger group of people, so it does feel a bit unfair.
Did you realise you were breaking the law today?
I hadn't thought about it. Now I think about it, I realise we are, but I didn't think about it when I entered the park. If you want to meet friends at all, in any social situation, you're going to have to think about it before you go and decide who you can meet with and who you can't.
You're going to have to choose your favourite 2 people now, aren't you?
Here in Bristol, community officers have been explaining and educating the public on day 1 rather than handing out fines. The new rules, they say, could be tougher to police than the full lockdown was.
This time people are still allowed to be out and we have to look at groups, assess what sort of group it is, count the numbers, engage with them, are they from the same families? So there is some more ambiguity.
This local amateur dramatics group is desperate to put on play readings again, but they're not sure they can under the new rule of 6, even though pubs and restaurants are open.
Because we could socially distance in this space here quite easily, have no more than 15 people, 2 metres apart, we could have the doors wide open. Why is this place any more dangerous or unsafe than a train, a restaurant, a workplace?
Busy in Bristol tonight, but most of those enjoying the sunshine were sticking to the rules. And as for the suggestion that we should report our neighbours if they meet in groups bigger than 6...
If it was something that I thought was going to be dangerous for other people, then yeah, maybe I would consider calling.
It's hard to know when to cross the line. What is your business, what isn't your business?
Just finding out sort of group sizes, seeing how it is.
This group was within the new limit, and by tonight, Avon and Somerset Police had only received 30 calls from concerned members of the public. The biggest challenge is likely to be at the weekend. John Kay, BBC News, Bristol.
Our nightly look then at the latest government figures, which show that there were 2,621 new coronavirus infections recorded in the UK in the latest 24-hour period. That means the average number of new cases reported per day in the past week is 3,004. 9 deaths were reported, people who died within 28 days of a positive COVID-19 test. And that means on average in the past week, 12 deaths were recorded every day. And that takes the total number of deaths across the UK so far to 41,637. Now, the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, has been accused of playing politics with the pandemic after she expressed very serious concerns about a reported backlog of coronavirus test results. Health Minister for England, Matt Hancock, says that the vast majority of people are getting results quickly. But as our health editor Hugh Pym explains, a shortage of staff in government laboratories is presenting significant new challenges.
Another week begins with reports of struggles to get bookings for coronavirus tests. Here in Plymouth, there was frustration from some who were waiting and hoping.
Went online, it's totally crashed. So then phoned 119, her system crashed, and she told me to come up here just to see if I get turned away or not.
There is problems getting a test. I was told by the NHS there was none. There was none in the UK whatsoever.
Back in July, system leaders were promoting walk-in testing centres like this one in East London. But now walk-in slots are limited each day, and when they run out, people are turned away if they don't have a booking. 2 school staff I spoke to weren't pleased to hear they'd have to come back tomorrow.
I need to go back to work and I need to get tested. I've been trying since Friday evening. Tried Saturday, Sunday, no luck.
I tried calling the numbers on the websites. The wait line is just ridiculous. For us to get through today, it took us about 2 hours.
Laboratories analysing swab tests are said to be overstretched. The big sites like this one in Glasgow, known as Lighthouse Labs, are run by the UK government, and Scotland's First Minister has called for action to resolve the problem.
We now have a very serious concern that the backlog of test results being faced by the UK lab network, which the Glasgow Lighthouse Lab is part of, is starting to impact on the Timaeus reporting of Scottish results.
A Westminster government source said the First Minister was playing politics with the pandemic and her claims were wrong. Earlier, the Health Secretary had said the issues were being addressed.
If you have symptoms, come forward and get a test. We're dealing with the problem of people having to travel too far, and we're putting in the extra resources to deal with that.
One organisation representing laboratory staff said the Lighthouse Labs have so far relied on academics on attachment, but they're now returning to their universities, so there's a staffing shortfall.
There's been a gradual loss of staff across those sites, and it's been difficult to fill those posts, especially at the senior level. It's not so difficult to fill with the people who are working at the bench, but those senior people who have been running those laboratories have returned to academia, is our understanding, and that's what's led to the capacity loss.
The Department of Health denied there were staffing problems, but questions are still being asked about why there's a backlog in the labs, which appears to be holding up testing for key workers and the wider public.
And Hugh is with me now. As you were saying, problems with testing, that's being debated. And as we learned today, there is still a debate raging about the way that the lockdown was imposed nearly 6 months ago.
Yes, Hugh, an ongoing debate about whether March the 23rd, when it was imposed, was even a week too late, given what we know about the spread of the virus. Now, we learned a bit more about what was going on inside government, the thinking at the time, in an email obtained through a BBC Freedom of Information request. Now, it's an email from Sir Patrick Vallance, the government's chief scientific advisor, written in May to officials. You see some of it's redacted there, in response to a Sunday Times inquiry as to what was really going on, and they discuss how they should handle the inquiry. But towards the bottom of it, there's a really interesting quote when he says, "I argued stronger than anyone for action for lockdown," with a, quote, telling off from CMO, that's Chris Whitty, and 2 other government officials, including Sir Mark Sedwill, the Cabinet Secretary. Now, you'll remember Sir Patrick Vallance and Chris Whitty have stood side by side at many of these Downing Street press conferences. There's a suggestion here of a bit of a difference of opinion. Now, a government spokesperson said there was no disagreement in the substance of scientific advice given to ministers, and there was no delay to lockdown. But I think this document suggests that there's maybe quite a lot of discussion to be had about what was really going on.
Indeed. Hugh, once again, many thanks. Hugh Pym, our health editor.